And welcome to today's coaching clinic. What am I doing with my life? If you've been asking yourself that question, if you've been wondering about what you're up to with your life, where your life is going, if it feels like your life is flying by and you've nothing to show for it, that is what today's clinic is all about. It's really an exploration on that sort of thinking. And so just straight up, I will share with you what I see about that. And we'll also have time today to do a little guided meditation where we're able to just ground ourselves into life's direction for us. And the first thing I want to share really is, that thinking, what am I doing with my life, is a judgment. It's an evaluation. It's not necessarily a piece of wisdom. A piece of wisdom might consider a direction that you'd like to go in for your life. But if you're feeling flavors of insecurity about your future, if you're feeling flavors of pressure about your life and where it's headed and what you've got to show for it, you really want to see that that is Bob stuff, not God stuff. That is Bob, the drunk guy, in our head, giving us a hard time really about where we are at this point in our life. And as with all of my coaching and anything I offer, I'm here to help you discern between the Bob stuff and the God stuff, and to get freedom of mind from the noise in your head that literally puts a gun to your head, that's literally putting you under pressure. So, you may have been asking yourself this question for years. Am I in the right place? What am I doing with my life? Why aren't I further ahead by now? Am I with the right man or woman? Am I doing the right thing? Anything with a flavor of right is going to, it comes with a flavor that I hope you can begin to discern is not particularly fresh. It's usually habitual in nature, and it's usually judgmental in nature. And innocently, the mind thinks they're protecting you. Like, if we think about our future and our life hard enough now, we'll make changes. But the approach I share with you is not about willpower. It's simpler than that. It's more long lasting than that. The approach I share with you is one that is going to allow you to live in a level of grace, letting life live you and life move you and life lead you. And that requires, to some degree, a level of trust and a complete turnaround from what the world is suggesting, a complete other direction to what is out there. But if you've been in this conversation with me for a while now, you know that questions that come to you from a place of wisdom don't have a feeling of pressure or judgment or comparison. Questions that come to you from common sense, like, I wonder how I'd like to spend the rest of my life, are a different flavor. So as we go into our gentle guided vision right now, we'll see what comes up for you, and then I'll open up to your questions, to your concerns, to whatever it is you'd like to explore as we go in this direction of what am I doing with my life. So just close your eyes with me now and take a moment to ground as we sit here relaxed. And just begin to breathe to the count of 4. In through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And out through the nose or the mouth, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And out through the nose or the mouth, 2, 3, 4. Begin to ground yourself. Keep that rhythm going. Lengthening the breath if you want on the out breath each time. And see roots coming from your feet down through the ground into the underground, and wrap those roots around that rock at the bottom of the earth. Just wrap, wrap, wrap. Feel yourself becoming grounded. See golden light coming from the rock up through the roots, up through the feet. And send that light all the way up through the body now. Right up to the top of the head. Surrounded by this golden energy. The light of your true nature. Always available, always easy to access. And just gently feel yourself just coming home to the feeling of presence, to the feeling of aliveness, to the feeling of joyfulness, if you can go there. And getting a flavor, a sense of, a flavor of your wisdom around your life. Imagine now in front of you in your mind's eye, a beautiful golden path, and you're just going to walk along that path, walk up that path. And at the top of that path, you're faced with two beautiful mountain tops. And the sun beaming down upon the mountain tops and upon the path. And just begin to approach the mountains. Take in their majestic quality, their magnificence, their beauty, their sheer size, their deep purpose, their groundedness on this earth. And bring your own question to these silent energies, these gorgeous mountains. Let the wisdom of that space and place answer for you. Notice the difference in size between you and these incredible mountains. The vastness of our God stuff nature. And how insignificant we are compared to the greatness of all that we are. Just as the mountains are being lived, we are being lived. Just as the mountains have a solid grounding and a strong sense of purpose, so do we. So let's bring our concerns to this God stuff rather than relying on our tiny, tiny, insignificant little minds. And take a couple of moments again, just speak to the mountains in front of you. Feel your body relax. And feel yourself recalibrate to center. Take a deep breath in and out. See roots coming from your feet down through the ground, down to the underground, right down to that rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Feel yourself completely grounded. As you come back into this moment, moving your fingers gently, your toes gently, your body gently, and coming back to this moment now. If there's anything you want to write down, you can do so. You can't imagine those mountains asking, what am I doing with my life? You can't imagine the lakes and the oceans, asking that question. The birds in the sky, the animals that live with you. And yet, we think it really matters. Like we're the exception. Like we need to figure out this life stuff, and there must be a better track we could be on. There must be a different track. There's definitely a better feeling track somewhere. I want on that track. Just as the flowers and the grass and the trees aren't separate from the God stuff, neither are we. If they're not asking, if nature's not asking that question, what am I doing with my life? Where's it going? What's happening? Why are we? Somewhere along the road, we learned there's it's all on us, and there's another way to do things, and there's a right way to get life done. And look at all those people over there. If I was just more disciplined, if I was just more motivated, if I just had the right fill in the dots, then my life would get better. It's such innocent, habitual, insecure thinking. Did I live my life right? Isn't really the question at the end of our days. Because there is no right. One of the beautiful experiences I had in Francesco's death was you can't get life wrong. It occurred to me very strongly, just as we don't choose when to come into the world, exactly what date, why would we think we are in charge of when we go out of the world and exactly what date? And yet, as humans, we do all sorts of silly stuff innocently to try and control the end or have mastery over the end happening or not happening. It looks to me now like death is a natural part of the process of life, that we are being lived as we come into the world. Your mother didn't decide at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning after exactly 9 months that that's exactly when she was going to have you. Life created a contraction at an exact time to move you into this world. Life has been living you since you got here, even before you got here. So what if it's living you right now in the job you're in, perfectly lived where you are? What if it's living you right now in the relationship you're in, perfectly as it is? And as we gain freedom from the Bob stuff in our head, we naturally get an inkling if there's a change to be made, if there's somewhere else to go, if there's someone else to be with, if there's a different way to look after ourselves. In every moment, we are being lived. It's our habitual mind that's questioning the way we're living. It's our habitual mind looking around at the world and considering that their way looks better, must be better, could be better. That comparative thinking, mixed in with our own fantasies about where we should be by now, given what we have made up about ourselves. So what am I doing with my life becomes a bit of a redundant question as you get present to being lived by life, relying on life to move you or inspire you or invite you when it comes to change. What am I doing with my life becomes another indicator that you're lost in the Bob stuff in your head, that you've stepped away from the God stuff for a minute. So any questions at this point, or anything you want some focus on or help on? Any flavor of Bob coming up for you that you just keep spinning on? Good. Sounds like my work is done here today. When the questions fall away, it's a really good indicator that you're not listening to that voice as intently in your head. That voice in your head is familiar, but it's not truth. That voice in your head doing the questioning about your life, evaluating your life, evaluating where you're at, is repetitive and convincing, but it's not truth. Your mind is always going to come up with what it thinks it needs to worry about next. Yeah, Marie-Pierre is writing in, it's exactly that it should be different. I should be further ahead. Others know and do better than me. Yeah, we all have flavors of that, Marie-Pierre. The difference being that there's an element of you being able to let life live you, knowing that you're perfectly lived where you are right now. This insecure mind will come up with all sorts of flavors of what am I doing with my life? It doesn't mean it's truth. How do you know when it's Bob and yourself guiding you to something else? Mm-hmm. Well, for me, and I think you, Marie-Pierre, you're getting really good at this. You're getting really good at discerning. For me, Bob the drunk in my head comes with feelings of pressure. How do I know it's Bob? Because the feeling I get is intense, impatient, pressurizing, worrying, scaring, and habitual. Same old shit, different day. Really habitual. You could be asking the same question for 10 years. Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Am I with the right person? You could be doing that over and over and over again without feel. Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it's true. So begin to discern the feeling you're living in, Marie-Pierre. Begin to get curious about the feeling you're in when you're asking yourself these questions. Often it's just a mind conversation. Oh, there's my mind going again about, should be further ahead. There it goes again. Oh, there's my mind conversation taking off at high speed on how things should be different by now. Oh, there's my mind conversation heading in that direction about whether or not I've made the right choice not to be married with children when everybody else is. Good, I'm glad. Marie-Pierre just written in, yes, the feeling of fear and pressure is there. Thank you. I can see the difference with a gentle nudge. Yeah. The feeling is always letting us know who we're listening to, Bob stuff or God stuff. The feeling is the most powerful evidence and indicator of whether or not to keep listening to the noise in your head. Annette, you have your hand up. Did you want to ask a question?
Hi there. Yes, it's kind
Can't
of.
hear you, sweetheart.
What's that?
Can't hear you. Maybe your computer volume.
Hold on. Oh. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Do you hear me?
No.
Okay.
I can't hear you. Can you hear Robin? Is it mine? Hang on a sec. Maybe it's me.
Yeah, I can hear Annette.
Oh, there we go. Annette, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't really know if it's a question, but I have this wonderful feeling of, really starting to get living in the God stuff and constantly living in the God stuff, and that all I ever experience is how I view life, in a way that there is no objective truth out there. And then for like the last couple of years, I've been struggling with knees that have been getting worse and worse. And in a way, I'm thinking that life is trying to tell me something on that journey. And in a way, I don't want to get scared, and get into too much fearful thinking about, what's life gonna be like if my knees are getting worse and worse and I can't walk and do all the stuff that I love to do. So in a way, I don't want to get too focused on the problem with the knees.
Yeah.
But then in a way, if life is in a way living us perfectly the way we're living life, then should I in a way not focus on it, but just trust that if I can keep my peace of mind and keep my coming back to that quiet place inside, that I will know what to do to handle the situation as good as I can. So I just wondered if you had some comments around that.
Mm-hmm. So can you see how you have the power of thought to make meaning about your knees? Like, that's what's super cool about being human instead of being the mountains. You know, we get to attribute meaning to situations. We get to give meaning to problems. We get to give meaning to all sorts of things. If I find that giving meaning to my knees about the future or about what it means was worrying me, then I'd probably step back a bit from that. Like, let me give it to you this way. Your body can speak to you if you get quiet enough. This might sound nutty, but I do it when I'm in pain. If you get quiet enough, you can ask your knees what they want to tell you, if there's something they want to tell you. Like for the past week or so, I've just been, well, actually since Mexico, I've just been having such a hard time with my stomach. And, you know, the mind went to change this about your diet. Don't do this, eat that, control this, try not to do that. And asking all these people around me, well, what do you do? And go get these pills and go get those pills. And then I remembered, Grace, sit down and ask your stomach what's going on. And I sat down and I went into just gentle meditation, similar to what we do here, placing my hands on my stomach. And I asked my stomach, what do you want to tell me? My stomach, you know, was nothing to do with diet. My stomach was telling me, relax, you're holding tension. That popped a lot of worry for me about, what does this mean? Like, what do I need to do to get this discomfort to go away? The wisdom of the body has a lot to offer. And interestingly, since that moment, and I could feel myself relax, because we just don't realize how much tension we're holding. And I'm pretty chilled out. We just don't realize it. But our bodies can let us know what our mind doesn't realize. And as we get quiet, we can ask. This is just what came out for me to say to you. It might not have any answer, Annette, so fill me in.
Well, it surely makes sense. In many ways, I've been living for years with that same attitude, in a way, that my body is always trying to tell me something when I get sick. But this thing with the knees, I guess, have been such a gradual thing, and the pain has been gradually becoming worse and worse. And I guess I haven't listened well enough earlier, and so I'll definitely try to just quiet myself and ask my knees and my body and the wisdom to tell me what I need to learn in the process.
And then leave it alone, you know,
Yeah.
like, and then take your focus off of it. What can happen for a lot of us who have perhaps studied the mind-body connection and invested in our self-help studies and all of that, it can happen that we can get into a level of self-concern. when what's really going on is, you know, there's just a new layer of worry coming in. Now, what I know about you personally in recent weeks and months and maybe years is that you have been up against a question that was important in your life. And you don't realize how much that may have been impacting your body, that level of resistance to the answer, to the situation, to the change. That comes out also in a form of burning, pain, tiredness, exhaustion. It's just information. It's just helpful information. But putting a gun to your head about what this means, what you've done wrong, or what this holds for the future, that's optional. You could hear your knees as I heard my stomach and it be gone in an instant or tomorrow. But your body's on your side. It's not making up symptoms to punish you for something that you didn't quite catch or you didn't quite get. It's always alerting us to just what we need to know now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And especially not going into a lot of worry about it, but I also trust that wisdom will let me know also how to. I'm sure there are things I could possibly do and not do, but not go off in my mind about what I eat and this and that and change everything and
Yeah.
Just relax.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
See you. Who else? I see a message here from Joe. Do you feel there's a difference between the feeling of excitement and the feeling of the God self speaking? Oh, that's a lovely question, Joe. For me, excitement can sometimes come with feeling revved up. In other words, speeding up. For me personally, that's different to God stuff speaking. Like, I'm thinking of a situation in my life when I was on my journey to becoming a coach, and there was this kind of opportunity that presented itself, and I can distinctly remember how utterly excited I got. It went nowhere. But the feeling of excitement was very speedy and very, it was almost a little scary to almost not able to contain. If I look at that now, knowing what I know about how the mind works today, that wasn't God speaking. That was me speeding up into an imagined future of what I thought was going to happen as a result of this opportunity. Now, nice things, but not necessarily God speaking to me, given the fact that it never came to pass anyway. I think the God self can come with excitement, which isn't flighty and speedy, but rather inspired, looking forward. Maybe that feels a bit too calm for some of you. But in my experience, the God stuff speaking is quite grounded rather than fast. There's nothing wrong with excitement, by the way, everybody. Excitement is a good thing. It's a lovely thing. It's just more feeling experience flowing through us. It's just, some people go on a pendulum swing most all their lives between excitement and depression. They swing the two sides of or they go through absolute inspiration and then total deflation. They swing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the human experience of feelings. But you can get a sense of where it's coming from. Is it coming from a mind that's revved up and making up illusions and fantasies about the future that the mind thinks it wants, that'll make us feel better? Or is it coming from a deeper place where there's just a certainty, a knowing, an excitement without a gun to the head, an excitement without a speediness, a knowing of what's about to occur? Hope that helps, Joe. That's, again, the world according to Grace. It's not necessarily truth. Amy, would you like to come on? Did you want to ask a question?
Hi, yes. My question is, I notice that when I have some kind of deadline, and mostly I'm going to say that the deadlines in my life are self-imposed because it's my own creation. I get to work for myself like you do. But I just noticed that, that comes with so much tension. And I don't know if this is a question, but I think because I'm sitting right in the middle of it right now, I'm still sort of trying to figure out what, like every day feels like a new proposition of like, what do I need to create? What do I need to say? What do I need to put out? And then my habit or my tendency is, I think I just kind of I overthink it and then I don't do it at all. Like there's some kind of, I guess I'm saying there's some kind of paralysis going on around just sharing in my own business, just sharing with people what I offer. I know we talked about this on our one-to-one call, but it feels like it has something to do with deadlines too. That's why I brought it up. And I know it's my habit. I know it's the mind. I'm just not sure how to get out from under it.
What would be wrong with sitting back and doing nothing until you're moved to do something out of this noise?
Well, nothing, except I feel like I've been doing a lot of nothing and nothing is being generated. Like I don't feel like I'm.
Yeah, that's an invite back to center, Amy, right there.
Okay.
How do I get out from under this? How do I get moving more quickly? How do I get it out? Like the place I hear you in isn't about the deadline. It's your invitation to rely on the God stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the doing nothing, I should share this. The doing nothing feeling for me, I think is different than the doing nothing that you're talking about. For me, the doing nothing is coming with this flavor of it's more numbing out. And it's just the other side of the coin from the feeling of tension and worry and insecurity. It's like that's the paralysis side of the coin. And I think what you're saying is different, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, what do you think I'm saying? Share with me.
I think you're saying, like, as we talked about on our call together, just coming back to center looks like maybe doing something that feels really good and calming for me, like taking a walk outside and letting God speak that way. Doing something pleasurable. Yeah, letting the insight come through.
Yeah, and praying for your insight to come through.
And praying, yes.
I mean, it's kind of simple. Whenever you get flighty, impatient, worried, deadliney, paralyzed, it's common sense to just stop
Right.
until that experience flows on, which it will.
Right.
See, when an animal gets lost in the wild, it stops to regain its bearings before proceeding. Humans are the only species to speed up. They get lost, they get scared, they get worried about money, they get worried about something, and they go faster. But they're usually going faster in the wrong direction. And what good is speed in the wrong direction?
Right. That's actually been a habit. Our tendency is to go in a bunch of different directions, to generate a lot of ideas in my head, and then kind of reach out to a bunch of people. I'm talking about my business, but also personal life. Yeah, and then just confuse myself. So it's like, for me, it's not even taking off in one direction. It's taking off in like 7 different directions to see what's going to happen there. And then that's overwhelming and confusing.
Yeah. It's an invitation back home. It's all symptomatic of a mind that's going too fast and too worried.
Yeah.
It is not indicative of an unknown future or no available clients or no ideas, or it is not telling you you're stagnant or you're lazy or you don't know what you're doing or you can't pay you're not going to be able to pay your bill. It's not telling you any of that. It's telling you, hey, Amy, you've stepped away from home a bit, and when nothing is really that clear, you're allowed to wait until it is. And in your waiting until it is, you can be praying over that situation. You can be taking care of yourself. You can be walking. You can be enjoying yourself. You can be doing whatever you want. And practicing the muscle, really, Amy, of trusting life's got this and waiting for life to move you, usually in the form of, oh, I feel better, I think I'll do this today.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah, you have been experiencing that. You have a low opinion of yourself. You know, like you're so much better at this than you give yourself credit for.
Thank you. It's true. I'll receive that.
Yeah. And life's just waiting to help you with that and support you with that. So getting quiet is a good thing to do. Switching off is a part of any business model. A continued action in the wrong direction because we've got a gun to our head is insane. Remember, people know us by the feeling we live in, more than the words we give them, more than the programs we give them. And a great big part of any selling or marketing or developing or creating that is seriously undervalued and shouldn't be is the feeling you're living in when you're going about your work. People feel it from you. So if there's any sense of anybody on the call feeling like they don't have time to just just get quiet, it's like there's nothing better you could do for yourself and your clients and your marketing and your business and your direction and your future. And I don't mean don't do anything. But I do want to encourage you all to stop underestimating the power of the feeling you live in. I call it spiritual marketing. It's a spiritual marketing that is emanating from you that people feel.
I do underestimate that, I will say. I think that I intellectualize it. I think that I know intellectually that that's true, but it's not fully embodied, let's say.
Well, it's getting there,
It's getting
and you're living in a world, a culture, and an environment that promotes pushing and hustle.
I also, if I can share one more thing, it's not a question, but what I've noticed is that this living in this hustle feeling, it just continues to generate more Bob.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Yeah, it's like it's just the wheels get turning and then it continues and Bob is there and there and there until you put the brakes on Bob.
Yeah. I mean, look, these things are coming up for a reason. They're coming up more intensely. Some of you here, most of you here have been going in the direction of a new chapter. So of course, the stuff that lurks around can just come up to the surface. It's not a bad thing. It's more invitation to go back to the God stuff, not the Bob stuff. You will become intolerant to anything else but living in a good feeling. So I just feel that's, look away. I know this is nuts. Look away from your business and what you're trying to put out there. Look away, look away, look away. And one of these fine days along the road soon enough, because I know how grounded you are. It's not going to take you months and weeks to get there, Amy, because you live at that level of well-being most of the time. One of these days you just be like, oh, yeah, that's the insight I was looking for. That's what I'm going to offer. That's what I'm going to put out there. And it might be exactly what you have been putting out, but it's coming from a different energy. So guess what? People hear it. People see it. People want it. People buy it. You know what you're about.
I do.
Grace, can I ask, has there ever been...
Yeah, Lillian, go ahead.
Has there ever been a time where you have launched something or marketed something, thinking or feeling that it was coming from wisdom, and then maybe halfway through doing all the marketing, you've just felt the pressure, or you've realized that, no, this possibly isn't going in the right direction. I shouldn't be going in this direction. And has there ever been an occasion like that that's happened to you and you've just withdrawn that offer, or presented something else? Or because you mentioned earlier about there are times where we can fall into that sort of flighty sense of excitement, and then realizing that, no, this is not God's stuff, it's not coming from wisdom. So I don't know if you've got an example of that may have happened to you.
Yeah, of course it's happened to me. Things that I have put out from a place of habit rather than inspired direction, and then added pressure to myself to get it there. And there was often that feeling of just kind of knowing, this probably isn't going to come to pass. I'm hearing from your side, And in my side, as an example, it was like a retreat in LA or an intensive in LA that I had decided I was going to launch. And when I think about it now, I only gave myself 2.5 weeks to bring it all together. That was insane. You know, I mean, but it looked like, at the time, it looked like an exciting idea to me. When I look at it now, it looks like I was probably coming from a place of, oh, I'm here, I should just have a retreat in 2.5 weeks, because that's what we do. And I've done that before, and it's easy to do that. And that's what I do. And boom, out. And then just, you know, began to kind of get some level of pressure around the time. And oh my God, nobody's going to sign up for this. This is insane. I'm not giving people enough understanding of what's on offer here. So it happens to all of us, Lillian. I've gotten better at waiting for divine mind's direction instead of habitual, oh, let's do this, or, oh, that would be really exciting. I've gotten better at receiving the information of what wants to come out through me, instead of using my mind to make up what I think people want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I've just come out of something similar. And you mentioned the habitual nature of thinking that you have to bring something out. And I fell into that trap a few weeks ago. And then I made a decision yesterday that I wasn't going to go ahead with it. And on making that decision, something more better, more aligned has come through. Brilliant. Today. Yeah. And then I realized, I was like, oh my goodness, of course. Because I think part of me felt guilty that, oh my goodness, I did do something in May. Let me do something in June. And like you said, that habit, and rather it's a habit of mechanics. Yeah. Rather than waiting on God to say, okay, now go with this.
Yeah, that's great. You know, and to be gentle, Lillian, this being in your own business, selling for yourself is a learning process. You know, like you'll just get better and better at discerning, you know, is this coming from a habit or a gun to my head, or something I think I should do, or is it coming from a divine mind direction? And, you know, people love honesty. There is nothing wrong with putting our stuff out there and then being like, do you know what? I actually changed my mind on that subject. Or I had a bit of an insight last night, and this is what I want to offer you instead. So, and here's why. A lot of the time people don't notice. So if you do feel like you don't want to say anything, that's okay too, because it takes an awful lot of touches with your marketing before people are actually picking up, this is what she's got going on. You know what I mean? And as I hear it, you know, you were sort of just in the beginning process of this. One thing that is coming through me for you is, and you can sit with this, Lillian, is careful of potentially launching something and then putting a gun to your head about it or scaring yourself about it. In other words, like a lot of people I work with, they get so far out there with their idea and then they start to scare themselves about it, put pressure on themselves about it, and they retract. And so if this is a repetitive thing for you, or if it becomes a repetitive thing, I would have a deeper conversation about, do I go into habits of pressure that scare me, or is it just that it's not coming from divine mind? Oh, you'll know. You'll know.
Thank you, Grace.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. So we're just going to finish now. Just one more part. Lauren has written in, how do you know when it's inspired action versus whims or habits? Lauren, I did answer that question. Joe asked a similar question, or through Joe's question, I answered that. What if you find yourself just waiting for an answer but never getting one, and then just waiting around? Yeah, most of that what you're asking has been answered in today's call, so you would want to listen to the recording. One thing I would say as a sort of a closing point around that, there's always an answer. You're one thought away from clarity. One thought. And for the most part, we all know what it is that the answer is. It's just that we get into our habitual questioning, and I started the session about that. We get into our habitual questioning that takes us away from the answer. The meditation today, Lauren, will help you, because we actually literally were able to go in and think about a question. So do listen to the recording. So everybody, I hope this has been helpful. I'll share with you just briefly as we finish here. We've just completed our new chapter program, 4-week program, and Annette was there, Amy was there, Marie-Pierre was there. We had quite a few people in there, and it was a beautiful journey all around creating and starting and stepping into a new chapter. What was interesting was part of the new chapter for people was the closure of an old chapter. So if you're in that space right now, I'm probably going to talk about, chapters ending on next week's session. And I have opened the space for the opportunity to join further into the conversation of your new chapter. In other words, a four session container to move on into deepening that conversation. If you're interested in that, even if you weren't with us on the first round of that program, the alumni group is opening and we'll have our first call this month. Okay, it'll be a monthly call. Get in touch if you want the information, gracefulcoaching@gmail.com, and I'll see you all next week. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.